Let's talk about stretching because most people, in my humble opinion, are not stretching in a way that is benefiting them as much as it could. So, first, let's understand the way that our muscle fibers work. So, if you've ever eaten meat, you can picture the way that muscle fibers are interlock in this way. Now, there are three kinds of muscle contractions. The first contraction is a concentric contraction, and that's when our muscle fibers come together. So that is like if you're lifting weights, if I were to lift the weight up, my bicep is contracting. The muscle fibers are coming together in my bicep in order to lift the weight. The second kind of muscle contraction is eccentric contraction, where the muscle fibers glide apart. And so if I am lowering the weight, the muscle fibers are gliding into length while managing the weight. So this is like Pilates and yoga. A lot of modalities will work the muscles eccentrically so that we're building strength when the muscles are in their longest state, versus concentric contractions, which is what like a lot of bodybuilders do, hence the bulk. Now, the third kind of muscle contraction is isometric. So that's where here my muscle fibers are, and then I add weight, and they manage the increased weight without changing length. So that is simply that the muscle fibers stay in place and manage more weight. So when you understand the way that the muscles work, this helps with stretching, because what we want when we stretch is actually a fourth state. Well, it's an eccentric contraction at times. I'll talk about that more. But we want to imagine that our muscle fibers are gliding into length, that our muscle fibers are relaxing into length as you stretch. So when you stretch, as I've spoken about before, it is so important to move from the fulcrum of your joint and to relax your joints, right? Well, now add on this sense of the muscle fibers relaxing into length. So what I see a lot when people stretch is they'll sort of yank their body in order to stretch, or they will be somewhat aggressive in the way that they're stretching, like stretching this way. And I fear that it's causing the muscle fibers to grip. Whereas if you isolate in the joint, right now I'm just imagining that my hips are relaxing and that my hamstring muscles are gliding into length. And then I'm sending breath into my muscles to encourage the muscle fibers to glide into length. The muscle fibers are simply gliding, relaxing into length. So try that approach as you stretch, and I have so much more to say about all of this.